Welcome back to the Crypto World channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is still rejecting from this key area of resistance in the short term, as we have new areas of liquidity building on this Bitcoin price chart, which are our next short-term price targets we need to pay attention to, while Ethereum is potentially getting closer towards another all-time high breakout, which I'll talk about in just a moment, alongside Chainlink still possibly flashing and getting closer towards confirming a warning signal. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin price chart, and I'll keep this quick because not a lot has changed over the last one day. So of course, on this weekly Bitcoin price chart, the super trend indicator is still sitting in the green, indicating a larger bull market. But on this weekly Bitcoin price chart, we still have a bearish divergence, which is technically confirmed, meaning we should not be expecting significant bullish momentum on the larger time frames for a period of, say, 1 or 2 months is a very likely outcome. But of course, we can see short-term bullish moves from time to time. And if we're taking a look at this 3-day Bitcoin price chart, at least for now, looking at the 3-day Bitcoin MACD, we're still currently looking more bearish than we are bullish when it comes to the momentum in the market. So in other words, Bitcoin is still looking relatively weak at the moment, not really showing a lot of bullish momentum, despite seeing the occasional short-term bullish move. But even though we're currently looking slightly more bearish than we are bullish, we're not necessarily seeing a significant amount of bearish momentum. So it's unlikely we could see a huge crash straight away right now, but it is quite likely we could at least chop around sideways, maybe even see a slight little pullback at some point in the next few weeks or over the next 1 month or so. And if we're taking a look at the daily Bitcoin price chart, technically speaking, this bearish divergence is still influencing the price of Bitcoin, meaning we should not be expecting significant bullish momentum. But once again, we can see short-term bounces, especially from key points of support like this 112k level acting as strong support. And so obviously still expect a lot of support really in between around 110,000 to 112,000. In that area right there, we have a lot of support based on previous significant resistance, now acting as new support, as we've already confirmed twice now at close to 112,000. But if we're zooming further into the short term, looking at the 4-hour Bitcoin price chart, we can see that right now, just over the last 1 to 2 days or so, obviously we've perfectly rejected from this key level of resistance in the short term, still sitting at around 117,000. So obviously continue to expect the price to struggle and possibly reject from that level, just like how continue to expect the price to potentially bounce or hold above this level of support, as we've been doing a few times over the last few weeks for over a month now. And if we're looking at that short term again, looking at just the 4-hour time frame, we can see that technically we still have a bullish divergence. But with that being said, I'll not rely too heavily on this bullish divergence any longer, considering it's only on the 4-hour time frame. So usually a bullish divergence or bearish divergence just on the 4-hour time frame plays out over maybe a couple of days or so. Obviously this one played out very quickly, but we also have to consider resistance, which can prevent the price potentially from going higher. And if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, right now we have new liquidity building both below the price and above the price. So first of all, we still have a lot of liquidity at just under 120,000, around 119.5k to 120,000. And really just over the last 1 day or so, we've started to build a lot more liquidity below the price, sitting at around 111.4k to 111.5k. So basically slightly below these lows just here that we saw a couple of days ago. And so honestly, I would not be surprised, considering we have liquidity above the price and below the price, considering the price is looking somewhat weak in the shorter term, technically coming towards the end of this bullish divergence, still having this bearish divergence right here, but still having a lot of support here. Considering all of this information together, I would not be surprised if we take out both of these levels of liquidity at some stage. So obviously it's a question of which one first. Honestly, it's likely if we fail to break out above this level very, very soon, we could possibly sweep the lows again and then maybe come back up to try and test some of these points of resistance again. But overall, honestly, I expect the price of Bitcoin to remain somewhat range bound over the next few days, as in this sideways price range right here as a very likely outcome. So once again, strong support at 110k to 112k. We're likely going to see more bounces from around that area on the price chart. And then once again, a lot of resistance at roughly 117,000. And even if we break out above 117,000 to head up towards this upside liquidity, right above that liquidity right there, if we hit that level, that's pretty much where we have some major resistance also starting at close to 120,000. And so let's just say if the Bitcoin price plays out something like this, sort of just bouncing around a little bit, sweeping that downside liquidity, seeing a bounce from that area of support, coming back up, testing some of these points of resistance, obviously that will cause maybe a bit of choppy sideways price action in a larger sideways price range right here, which will also coincide with the fact that we have relatively low momentum on the larger timeframes and showing some weakness on the larger time frames, which will likely play out at least over the next 1 month or so, maybe longer, but at least over the next few weeks, over the next 1 month is a likely outcome for this weakness and lack in momentum in the price of Bitcoin. And so overall, that is what I'm expecting moving forward. And of course, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, you have to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange. And personally, I've been taking a lot of my crypto trades over on BTNX. So I'll make sure to leave a link to BTNX below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can claim some massive trading bonuses and actually enter a 25,000 USDT prize pool simply just by trading crypto using that link. So if you're a large trader with large trading volumes, or if you have a decent P&L, or if you're a new user, etc., multiple ways here where you can get a major share in this 25,000 USDT prize pool, essentially free money from the exchange. You might as well take advantage of this, especially if you're going to be trading crypto anyway. Once again, the first link below this video. And in case you're wondering, BTNX is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But as always, check your local regulations when it comes to trading crypto. And for whatever reason, if you don't want BTNX as an exchange, there's also Pinex as another exchange out there that I also trade on. So I'll also make sure to leave a link to Pinex below this video. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can also claim some massive bonuses. For example, if you simply just make an account, it takes about 1 minute to do this using the link below this video to Pinex. Make an account, complete KYC, get a free 50 USDT bonus onto your Pinex account. Just by doing this, it takes about 1 minute to get a free $50 onto your account. And then also if you make a deposit using the link below this video after making your account, you get a $100 bonus if you deposit just $100, or if you deposit 10 grand, you get a $1,000 bonus onto your Pinex account. But once again, these huge bonuses here are only available if you use that link below this video to actually make your Pinex account. And in case you're wondering, yes, you can access Pinex without KYC. But with that being said, taking a look at the Bitcoin dominance on the 3-day time frame, and right now the Bitcoin dominance is still in the larger pullback, still obviously showing a lot of weakness, pointing in the bearish direction when we're talking about the larger trend momentum or price structure on the 3-day time frame. And so obviously from time to time we could see little short-term bounces during that larger pullback, but overall, while the larger pullback stays in place, while this continues to play out bearish price action in the Bitcoin dominance, of course that is good news for a lot of the altcoin market, especially some of the larger altcoins like Ethereum, especially over the last few weeks, has obviously done a lot better than what Bitcoin is doing, mainly as a result of this huge drop in the Bitcoin dominance, meaning altcoins are doing better than Bitcoin on average. And so for as long as this continues here, for as long as we still see more bearish price action in the Bitcoin dominance, which so far is the case, once again, this means that even if Bitcoin shows a bit of weakness in the shorter term, as it's already doing right here, this means that Ethereum and some other altcoins can still be looking relatively strong, at least compared to what Bitcoin is doing. That's what we're seeing right now for Ethereum on the 3-day Ethereum price chart. We're coming up for potentially another test of this major area of resistance sitting in between around 4.8k to 4.9k. And if we were to actually see a confirmed breakout above ideally 4.9k, in that situation, we could likely see a run well beyond $5,000, because based on the last significant breakout above a significant area in the price chart right here, we saw a huge follow through, a huge breakout towards the upside of roughly 17% from this breakout here to the next local high. And so if we're measuring out something similar from around the breakout point, around 4.9k, give or take, towards around a 17% move towards the upside, that will potentially place the price at roughly around 5.7k. Now, I'm not saying we're definitely going to see that. That's just giving you an idea of what happened last time we saw a huge breakout above a very significant area on the price chart. And so basically what I'm saying is, if we first confirm a breakout above this area, 4.8k to 4.9k, if we do that first of all, I would not be surprised if the price ends up in the mid 5k area, in between 5 to 6k. So maybe 5,500 could be a likely scenario, a likely price target if we first confirm this breakout here above ideally 4.9k, with candle closes above that level and actually holding above that level. But do keep in mind that as of right now, we've not yet confirmed the breakout above this area, above 4.8k to 4.9k, which means at least for now, there is still the possibility of another short-term rejection from this area. So we need to consider that possible short-term risk. But clearly the larger trend momentum and price structure, the long-term trend for Ethereum, is still currently looking very bullish, as I've been saying for a long time. So yes, we could see short-term pullbacks along the way. We can take advantage of those pullbacks, as I've been doing here on the channel with some short-term short positions, but overall the larger trend is still bullish, is what I've been saying the entire time. And if we're taking a look at the daily Ethereum price chart, we do have a possible bearish divergence also forming again on the daily time frame. And so obviously this will start to confirm if we confirm a couple of red candle closes in the price of Ethereum on the daily time frame. So in other words, if we start rejection, if we fail this attempt of a breakout here, starting to reject a little bit, struggle again from this resistance, that would likely confirm this bearish divergence if we do not break out within the next couple of days. And so ideally we need to confirm the breakout above this area within around 2 to 3 days max. Otherwise, of course, we could potentially confirm this bearish divergence. But of course, even if this bearish divergence confirms, this does not mean the larger bullish trend is over. But what it does mean is we could potentially see a bit of a short-term pullback or so for maybe 1 to 2 weeks. Obviously, the last one played out for roughly a week, the one before that just under a week, and the one before that just under 2 weeks, around 1.5 weeks. And so I'm just pointing out this possible risk that we need to be aware of if we do not break out at some point in the next couple of days. So this is a crucial time for Ethereum, at least when we're talking about the shorter term, for what could happen in the coming days or possibly weeks. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the 2-day time frame, Solana is obviously continuing the breakout above this very important area of resistance, which was sitting in between around 190 to 200. Technically, we have confirmed one 2-day candle close slightly above 200, but ideally, if this candle close confirms well above 200, which at the time of recording this video is looking likely, of course, that will further confirm this bullish breakout here. And so in other words, Solana is currently on its way towards the next major point of resistance based on the Fibonacci levels here, which is sitting at roughly $230. So 230 is the next major price target for the price of Solana, if of course we continue to hold above this golden pocket here in between 190 to 200. Ideally, that now needs to hold as support, because let's just say if we were to confirm candle closes back below 190 and then fail to get back above that area again, it would be very likely we'd at least see a retest of roughly 167 to 170 as a very likely outcome. But obviously for now, we've not yet confirmed a break back below this area. We're still looking bullish when it comes to the larger trend or momentum or price structure. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the weekly time frame, technically speaking, XRP has still confirmed and is already starting to play out this major bearish divergence on the weekly time frame, because we've already confirmed higher highs in the price in the candle closes and lower highs confirmed in the weekly XRP RSI. And now, obviously, as I've been saying this entire time, this is not a short-term signal telling us if today or tomorrow we're going to see a major bullish or bearish move. But what it does mean is over a period of weeks, if not months, as a very likely outcome, we're going to see either a larger slowdown, just lacking bullish momentum, maybe a sideways consolidation, but honestly, most likely a bit more of a pullback within the next 1 or 2 months. So for example, the rest of this month, maybe over September, it's likely we could still be showing a lot of weakness for the price of XRP on the bigger picture here, the larger timeframes, once again, not the short-term moves. And if we're taking a look at the daily XRP price chart, technically speaking, the price structure is still looking a little bit more bearish as of right now than it is bullish. Now, of course, we do have one higher low, which is one type of bullish price structure, but still the price structure on the larger timeframes right here, the bigger picture, still looking quite similar to what we saw near the beginning of the year. So keep that in mind. But of course, we can see short-term bounces along the way. And as for support and resistance to watch out for, we have a lot of support really in between around 285 to 290 based on the latest lows just here, and also this Fibonacci level at around $2.90. And below that, we have more support at around 275 and in between 255 to 262, and a lot of resistance at roughly $3.10, and major resistance in between 335 to 340. And I'd only flip much more bullish again on the price of XRP, expecting a major all-time high breakout if we first at least break out above $3.40. If we break this high right here, that'll be a significant change in the price structure to the bullish direction, but for now that has not yet happened. So of course we have to consider the risk of continued weakness maybe over the next few weeks or possibly months. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, Chainlink is still struggling at roughly $27. Obviously over the last few days we've tested close to $27 multiple times and seen multiple rejections, a lot of struggle from around that area on the price chart, just under $27. So obviously, like I've been saying since before all of these perfect rejections, expect a lot of struggle and possible rejections from close to $27, around $26.70 to $27 as strong resistance. But if we can reconfirm candle closes above $27 and actually hold above that level. In that situation, the next major target towards the upside is at roughly $30. But remember, the immediate level to watch out for is close to $27. And as for support, if we continue a bit more of a short-term pullback here, expect a lot of support at roughly $24, give or take, and below that, significant support starting at roughly $21. And if we're taking a look at this daily Chainlink price chart, we're pretty much just now confirming this new bearish divergence, especially if this current daily candle confirms in the red, then that would be 2 candle closes in a row confirming in the red, which would help to confirm the new bearish divergence. And so obviously I've been mentioning this a few times recently here on the channel, saying that obviously we've been confirming the bearish divergence, seeing another short-term pump, invalidating the previous bearish divergence, and then reconfirming it with another short-term pullback, seeing another pump, so on and so forth. And so right now we're potentially in that pullback phase. Now it's possible that at some stage we might not necessarily see the immediate pump and actually start to properly play out the bearish divergence, maybe with a bit more of a pullback lasting maybe a number of weeks. But it is important to mention that a bearish divergence by itself, even though it happened last time, a bearish divergence by itself is not always a trend reversal signal. It does not guarantee that the bullish trend is over. Even if it starts confirming here, it's possible we just see a bit of a short-term pullback here and then maybe continue higher later on. That's a possibility that we need to consider. But obviously with this now starting to confirm again, especially with this candle close, if this confirms in the red, like I just said earlier, that will confirm the bearish divergence, meaning it's possible we could see a little bit more of a pullback in the coming days, maybe over the next 1 week. But honestly, if you're into the altcoin market right now or looking at altcoins in general, definitely keep an eye on the Bitcoin dominance, but especially keep an eye on what Ethereum is doing. Because for example, if Ethereum breaks the all-time high here, breaks out above this major area of resistance, definitely keep an eye on a lot of other altcoins as well, because that would likely signal a run in the altcoin market. If Ethereum breaks all-time highs, that'll be very bullish for a lot of altcoins, especially if the Bitcoin dominance remains bearish. But just be aware that if we fail this breakout right here and see yet another rejection from this area, then maybe for the next week or so, we could see potentially more pullbacks just in the shorter term for a lot of these altcoins. So just keep that in mind. Obviously, we can see short-term pullbacks during these larger bullish trends. And so in other words, we're kind of at a make or break moment for Ethereum and a lot of the altcoin market when we're talking about just the shorter term. So really the next 2 days will be very important to determine what could happen over the next maybe 1 or 2 weeks. And of course, I will be keeping you up to date every day here on the channel completely for free. So definitely subscribe to the channel and like the videos if you enjoy these updates. And of course, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto, check out the links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim those massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can trade crypto no matter what the price is doing, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions. And the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.